Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing the second largest cryptocurrency in the world has just rewritten the rules of money. That's exactly what's happening right now with Ethereum. For years, Bitcoin has been crowned the king of digital assets, but Ethereum is quietly, and some say inevitably, positioning itself as the future backbone of global finance. Why? Because while Bitcoin is digital gold, Ethereum is a living, breathing economy, powering everything from decentralized finance to NFTs, supply chains, and even government-level experiments. The shocking part: the moves being made today could catapult Ethereum's price into territory few dare to predict aloud. Let's start with the numbers. Ethereum isn't sitting in the shadows anymore. Recent reports show that over 60% of decentralized finance activity runs on Ethereum's network. Think about that. Billions of dollars in loans, trades, and contracts executed without banks, without middlemen, all on Ethereum. Institutions aren't ignoring this. BlackRock, Fidelity, and other titans are quietly opening doors to Ethereum exposure. They know that while Bitcoin is valuable, Ethereum is useful, and utility is the ultimate driver of long-term growth. Now here's the twist that has Wall Street trembling. Ethereum's supply is shrinking. Since its transition to proof of stake, the network has been burning more tokens than it issues, effectively creating a deflationary asset. In plain English, every day that passes, there's less Ethereum available. Pair that with growing institutional demand, and you have a pressure cooker. Prices don't just rise in environments like this, they can explode. Imagine oil when demand outstrips supply. Now imagine that oil also powers the entire digital economy. That's Ethereum. But here's the real kicker. Governments are starting to notice. Just this month, whispers from regulatory bodies suggest that Ethereum could soon receive more favorable classification than Bitcoin. Why? Because its blockchain isn't just a speculative token, it's infrastructure. And when governments start recognizing something as infrastructure, it moves from the fringes into the heart of policy. Could Ethereum become the first blockchain officially embraced as global financial plumbing? That's the billion-dollar question. Now, let us talk price predictions, the part everyone secretly wants to know, but few have the courage to state. Analysts are split. Conservative voices say Ethereum could double in the next 2 years, reaching the $10,000 range. Bold voices, the ones who aren't afraid of ridicule, argue that Ethereum could surpass $20,000, even $30,000, as network activity multiplies and supply shrinks. But here's where it gets really wild. Ethereum isn't just a bet on money. It is a bet on replacing the entire architecture of the internet. Think about how many apps you use daily: banking, gaming, shopping, messaging. Ethereum is quietly building a world where all of that runs on a decentralized backbone. If even 10% of global digital activity shifts toward Ethereum in the next decade, the economic valuation could dwarf today's numbers. Imagine owning the rails of the internet itself. That's the scale we're talking about. And yet not everything is sunshine. Competitors like Solana, Avalanche, and Cardano are fighting for market share, claiming they can do it faster and cheaper. But Ethereum holds one trump card: network effect. Developers, users, capital, it's all already there. Leaving Ethereum is like trying to leave the internet itself. Possible? Sure. Likely? Not at all. Still, the ultimate question remains: will Ethereum actually flip Bitcoin? Will the digital crown shift from the king of scarcity to the king of utility? That's the conversation rattling the cages of investors across the globe. And if you're watching this right now, you need to ask yourself, are you positioning for that possibility, or are you going to watch history happen from the sidelines? Because what's coming next might shock you even more. A development so big that it could rewrite every Ethereum price prediction you've ever heard. And it's happening sooner than anyone expects. Here's where things take a dramatic turn. Behind the bullish predictions and institutional whispers lies a hidden war. A war that could either supercharge Ethereum's rise or crush its momentum. And the battlefield isn't just financial markets. It's regulation, geopolitics, and even artificial intelligence. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the US Securities and Exchange Commission. For months, speculation has swirled about whether Ethereum will be deemed a security or a commodity. That single classification could swing its price by thousands of dollars overnight. If labeled a commodity, Ethereum joins Bitcoin under friendlier regulations, unlocking a flood of institutional money. But if branded a security, the hurdles multiply. Licenses, restrictions, lawsuits. It's no wonder billion-dollar funds are sitting on the sidelines, waiting for clarity. Imagine what happens the moment clarity arrives. But here's the twist most investors overlook. Ethereum isn't just an American story anymore. Europe is drafting the MiCA regulations, already giving crypto a legal framework. Asian markets, particularly Hong Kong and Singapore, are opening the gates for Ethereum-based funds. In fact, whispers from inside trading desks suggest that sovereign wealth funds are exploring Ethereum exposure. If you think institutional adoption is a trickle, you might be missing the tidal wave forming overseas. Now let's bring AI into the picture. Every week, more decentralized AI projects are being built on Ethereum. Think about this. Artificial intelligence, one of the hottest industries on the planet, is plugging directly into Ethereum's blockchain. That means Ethereum isn't just competing with Bitcoin, it's embedding itself into the very technologies reshaping humanity. What happens to price predictions when Ethereum becomes the fuel for both finance and AI? Let's not forget the raw numbers. Ethereum's staking contracts have already locked up over 25% of total supply. That's millions of coins effectively removed from circulation. Combine that with token burns, and Ethereum is creating one of the rarest dynamics in finance, increasing demand and decreasing supply. Classic economics tells us what happens next. But this isn't just a classroom theory. It's unfolding live, on-chain, in front of anyone willing to look. Still, the skeptics ask, what about Ethereum's scalability? Won't high fees and slow speeds kill its future? Fair question, but solutions are already in motion. Layer 2 networks like Arbitrum, Optimism and ZK Sync are slashing transaction costs to pennies while scaling Ethereum to handle thousands of transactions per second. It's like turning a congested two-lane road into a multi-lane superhighway without forcing people to abandon their vehicles. The ecosystem is evolving and fast. And here's a mind-bender for you. Ethereum ETFs. Just as Bitcoin ETFs lit a fire under Bitcoin's price, Ethereum ETFs could do the same, perhaps even bigger. Imagine billions in retirement funds, pensions, and 401k accounts suddenly gaining exposure to Ethereum. This isn't speculative. It's already on the regulatory table. The day that approval comes could mark the most explosive price movement Ethereum has ever seen. So what's the real prediction? Conservative analysts stick to $10,000, maybe $12,000. Bold ones? They talk about $25,000 Ethereum by the end of the decade. But the wildest prediction, the one that keeps hedge fund managers awake at night, is the flippening. Ethereum surpassing Bitcoin in market cap. If that day comes, we're no longer talking about $20,000 Ethereum. We're talking about a financial revolution with no ceiling in sight. But here's the truth. Predictions are just noise without action. The real question is whether you're preparing for these shifts or watching from the sidelines. History shows us that fortunes are built not by waiting for certainty, but by positioning before the crowd catches on. If this analysis has opened your eyes, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Wealth Unlocked, because in the weeks ahead, we'll uncover even deeper secrets. Moves being made by billionaires, governments and tech giants that could reshape your financial future. And tell me in the comments, where do you see Ethereum's price going in the next 5 years? Are you team $10,000, $25,000, or do you believe the flippening is inevitable? Because one thing is certain, the race isn't slowing down, and those who understand it today will be the ones holding tomorrow's power.